What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some pretty sad news, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I know a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers fans are pretty pissed and pretty destroyed about this, but, you know, for those of you who haven't heard, Ricky Rubio has confirmed that he has done a season-ending ACL injury. I believe on the leg that he did it on in 2012 or something like that, which It sucks, man. Like, Ricky Rubio was one of the driving forces on why the Cleveland Cavaliers were so good this season. I mean, he was a great backup point guard, great leader, great playmaker, great defender this season as well. And there you go, he's injured. And the worst part is as well, like, obviously this isn't the worst part, but one of the bad parts coming out of this as well is Darius Garland's also out with COVID, which means the Cleveland Cavaliers point guard is Kevin Pangos. So that's terrific. I'm very excited to see what Kevin Pangos does starting at point guard. No hate to him, but I don't think he thought he was going to be starting anytime soon, and he's going to be the starting point guard of a team that is currently contending to be a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. So, good on him. He wasn't in the NBA last year, and now he's a starting point guard on one of the best teams in the league. How this happens, I don't know. It's like the NBA is like, it's plotted, dude. Like, this is a great story. Imagine if Kevin Pangos just, like, turns in the MVP and starts dropping 30 points on, like, everybody's head. That'd be, like, insane. Like, screw Russell Westbrook on the Lakers. LeBron should just waive Westbrook and bring in Kevin Pangos, because this man's going to be a star for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No cap. So I'm very excited to see it. But another point guard or point forward, or I don't even know if this guy is still in the NBA anymore, but this other guy named Ben Simmons, who has been in a lot of trade rumors, especially to do with the Cleveland Cavaliers recently, and that was being reported by Woj, is now the favorite, like, heavy favorite to land in Cleveland. Like, out of every single NBA player, there's no one that's even close to, like, how much apparently Ben Simmons is really close to getting the Cavs. Like, apparently it's nearly a done deal, and the fact that, like, Ricky Rubio now is done for the year, and the Cleveland Cavaliers desperately need a ball handler, a guy that can run the 1, can run the 2 as well, and Ben Simmons can do everything, he can run every position, really does say, well, there you go. It looks like the Cleveland Cavaliers, a dude like Ben Simmons, could be on the way, and it's really, really weird, because I made a video previously talking about Ben Simmons, and I talked about how I didn't want this to happen. I didn't think Ben Simmons was good for the Cleveland, well, not necessarily good for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but maybe too much, and I thought the Cavs should have just taken a steady pace and kept their cool and not really done anything. But now with Ricky Rubio's injury, I think myself and a lot of other people are kind of like, well, do we go out and get Ben Simmons? Like, it doesn't happen, because realistically, you could say, oh, the Cavaliers could go out and get another point guard, but every single point guard and their dad has been picked up due to this 10-day contract thing. And it's just like, well, what's the point? What's the point of bringing in some guy that's not going to be there long term? Are you going to roll with Kevin Pangos as your backup point guard for the rest of the season? Is that what you're going to do? Because when it comes to Kevin Pangos, I think his height is a lie as well. I believe he's registered as like 6'1", which is crazy, because he is a lot smaller than Garland, and Garland is just 6'1", which makes me think that Kevin Pangos could actually be 5'11". And his defense is, we haven't really seen much of his defense, but his offense looks okay. He's very inconsistent when he's on the court, but that's because he hasn't had a lot of minutes, really. So decided to say, well, screw it, let's roll Pangos as our backup point guard. Or do you say, well, Ben Simmons, he would be a lot, but he does check a lot of boxes. Do we go out and get Ben Simmons? And the issue is, if we could trade Colin Sexton and a couple first-round picks for Ben Simmons, I'm doing that. I'm realistically doing that, because that is a realistic trade, and I think that would make the Cleveland Cavaliers a lot better. You basically, because, you know, Colin Sexton is out right now, you're basically trading away a couple first-round picks for one of the best defenders in the game, an elite playmaker, a guy that can guard 1 through 5, can get a board, like, really well. The thing is, then, you're kind of doing that, but if we have to give up Kevin Love as well, I'm not doing this trade. And some people might like say, well, Kevin Love's old, he's always injured. That's far from the truth now. Kevin Love hasn't been really injured all of this season, And not just that, he's playing really, really well for his age. In fact, there was a statistic the other day that said in the last 6 games, in 23 minutes per game, he is averaging 19.6 points and like 8 rebounds on 50% from 3. If you were to do that in per 36 minute stats, that'd be like 33 points per game, which means he would be leading the NBA. Kevin Love in per 36 stats in the last 6 games would be the best player in the NBA offensively. Like, not just that, his rebounding would be like 15 per game. This guy is playing out of his mind, and if the Philadelphia 76ers get a weapon like that, plus a young guy like Colin Sexton and a bunch of first-round picks, then they're laughing. Ben Simmons isn't even playing for them. So you literally trade out a guy like that for one of the most elite role players in the league, a bunch of first-round picks, and a really good young combo guard. You're laughing if you're the Sixers. So I'm just not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. And not just that, the Cleveland Cavaliers have been so good this season because their defense has been really good, but also their offense has been really good when it comes to three-point shooting, and, you know, Kevin Love is one of the catalysts of that. If you trade away Kevin Love for Ben Simmons, then your three-point shooting is dropping significantly. Like, it gets a lot worse. You're trading a player that's averaging like 40+% from 3 for a guy that can't shoot threes. And the Cavaliers have got a couple guys like Ben Simmons. They do need another one, but they need a shooter more than that. So Kevin Love, he's just, I wouldn't trade him at all. And this is why I think that this, you know, Ben Simmons trade probably wouldn't happen until the offseason. And to be honest, Ben Simmons would actually be good on the Cavs. But that's only if we keep Kevin Love. Because right now, the way that we kind of play is we have Ricky Rubio and Darius Garland kind of doing their thing. Both are shooting threes, but then they've got a bunch of tall shooters around them. Like Lauri Markkanen, Kevin Love, Jetty Osman, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, etc. And then you kind of look at it like this. Well, if you trade out Ricky Rubio, who's injured now, for Ben Simmons, your three-point shooting is really not getting worse. In fact, it doesn't really matter because Rubio's only chucking up 1 or 2 threes pretty much per game anyway. So it doesn't really matter. And Ben Simmons might be more likely to find an open shooter than Rubio. Not saying that's a fact, but that could definitely happen. It's really, really interesting to see how this is all going to go. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers should look at Ben Simmons. I would trade for Ben Simmons, but only if we had to give up like Colin Sexton and a first-round pick or 2. I'm not giving up Kevin Love. I'm not giving up Isaac Okoro. I wouldn't think. If I had to give up a guy like Dean Wade, I maybe would do it because I feel like Dean Wade is replaceable. But Kevin Love for this team is not replaceable. The only way Kevin Love would be replaceable is if you bring in another shooter that's just like same or just a little bit worse than Kevin Love, but can make that up in so many other things, like a Brandon Ingram type of guy. It's the only way I'm getting rid of Kevin Love. I wouldn't do it for a guy like Ben Simmons. I'm not saying that Ben Simmons is worse than Kevin Love. I'm just saying that it doesn't make any sense for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think a lot of people definitely agree with that. So yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. Ricky Rubio being out for the season will hurt a lot, and it will suck. Like, let's be honest here, it's going to suck. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because if we can bring in a dude like Ben Simmons for Colin Sexton and that, it'd be alright. The issues is, Colin Sexton we did not extend, so the contracts just don't really match up at all. But of course, I think this is going to be like a end of the season thing. I honestly think there's a big chance the Cleveland Cavaliers just roll with Kevin Pangos as their backup point guard. And then the other question will be, well, if they do it at the end of the season, they sign Ricky Rubio back, how does, you know, Darius Garland, Rubio, and Simmons play together? Does that kind of work? I think it would, but because Okoro is not a consistent shooter, maybe you might need to implement another shooter in that starting 5, so it wouldn't just be Garland shooting all the threes, because you'd have Simmons, Mobley, and Allen in that starting 5. You might need another shooter there, and they could look at one in free agency, like a Kevin Huerter, or even like a dude, there's Dante DiVincenzo, he could be available as well. You could always try and trade for Malcolm Brogdon. Things like that could definitely happen. But hey, I'm just saying, if the Cleveland Cavaliers get a team of Darius Garland, Malcolm Brogdon, Ben Simmons, Mobley, and Allen, you'd think they'd be unstoppable. Like, that team defensively, 4 of those players in that team could make, like, all defensive teams. Like, Ben Simmons and Jarrett Allen are literally 2 of the best defenders in the league. Malcolm Brogdon is one of the best defensive guards in the league. And he can pop threes insanely good. And then you've got Evan Mobley, who's the best defensive rookie in the league. So it's really interesting to see how this is going to happen, if it will. Of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content, NBA news. go ahead and subscribe to my IRL/vlogging channel and my gaming channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to go after someone like Ben Simmons? Do you guys think they won't? Of course, I'd definitely really like to know. But as I was saying, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.